You know how sometimes you're shopping online, you find a great deal from another country, but by the time it gets to you, the price has jumped? Well, a lot of the time, the reason for that comes down to just one word: tariffs. Today, we're going to break down what they are and how they work, drawing from an academic lecture by economist Michael Raviv. So let's pull back the curtain on this hidden tax.
It seems kind of weird when you think about it, doesn't it? Why would a government go out of its way to make things more expensive for its own people? Well, that's a big question we're going to unpack today. It's a real puzzle, a mix of economics, protection, and a whole lot of politics. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the absolute basics, what a tariff even is. Then we'll watch one in action, see how it shakes up a market, and figure out who wins and who loses. We'll check out a real-life example, and then we'll get to the big question. Is this whole thing even solving the right problem?
Okay, first things first. Before we get into the weeds, what exactly is a tariff?
At its core, a tariff is just a tax. It's a fee the government slaps on stuff that's brought in from other countries. Seems simple enough, but that one little fee, man, it has the power to completely change the game for an entire market.
So, to really see how this all plays out, let's build a little model. We're going to use the oil market as our guinea pig to watch the ripple effects when a country opens up to trade and then decides to put up a tariff.
All right, step one. Picture a country that's totally cut off from the rest of the world's oil. In this little bubble, the price is $50 and local companies are pumping out 1,000 units. That's our baseline. Everything is nice and simple.
But now, let's open the floodgates. The country opens its borders to trade, and suddenly, way cheaper oil from the world market comes pouring in. And look at that. The price plummets to just $30. Awesome for consumers, right? But, and this is a big but, look what happens to the local producers. At that new low price, they just can't compete. They're forced to scale back and only produce 600 units.
Now with that sweet $30 price tag, consumers want more oil than ever. Let's say they want 1,400 units in total. But remember, the local guys are only making 600, so you've got this huge gap. And that gap, 800 units, has to be filled by, you guessed it, imports.
And this is usually when the government steps in. They see their local companies struggling, they hear about jobs being lost, so what do? They impose a tariff on every single unit of imported oil. That tax makes the foreign oil more expensive, which pushes the entire market price back up, all in an effort to give those local producers a fighting chance.
And here's the most important thing to get about a tariff. It doesn't affect everybody in the same way. Not at all. It very clearly creates a set of winners and a set of losers. Let's break down who's who.
And there you have it, the classic trade-off. The local producers, they definitely win. The tariff acts like a shield, letting them produce more and sell it for more money. It can even save local jobs. But somebody has to pay for that protection. And that somebody is us, the consumers. We lose. We get stuck with higher prices, and because of that, we end up buying less.
So, just to recap, let's nail down the four main things a tariff does. 1, it jacks up the price for consumers. 2, it helps boost local production. 3, it actually makes people buy less of the stuff overall. And 4, it cuts down on the amount of imports coming into the country. It's a pretty powerful lever to pull.
Okay, that's the theory. But let's look at how this stuff works in the real world. And for this example, we're actually going to look at a policy that did the exact opposite of a tariff. It made it even cheaper to import stuff.
So here's what happened. The government changed the rules for online shopping. It used to be that you could bring in up to $75 worth of goods from another country without paying any taxes. Well, a new rule doubled that. Now you can import up to $150 worth tax-free. They basically made it easier to buy from abroad.
And the result? Well, it's a perfect mirror image of our tariff example. Consumers loved it. They could buy more stuff from overseas for less money. It's a clear win. But local businesses making those same things? They lost. Big time. They were suddenly hit with a wave of new, cheaper competition, and many had to cut back.
Okay, so this brings us to the really crucial part of all this. We've seen what these policies do, but now we have to ask why they're done. Is this policy actually fixing the problem it's supposed to be fixing?
I mean, it's the obvious question, right? If a government knows that making imports cheaper is going to hammer local companies and maybe even cost people their jobs, why on earth would they do it? What's the end game?
Well, the official reason, the line they gave everyone, was that this was a move to fight the rising cost of living. The thinking goes, if we make things like clothes and gadgets cheaper to import, that'll give family budgets a little bit of breathing room. But is that where the real financial pain is?
And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the argument from Michael Ravith's lecture. He points out that,
Yeah, making your t-shirt a few bucks cheaper is nice, but it doesn't really tackle the root of the problem. The real things crushing people's budgets are what economists call non-tradable goods. Think about it. It's your electricity bill, your water bill, your local taxes, healthcare costs. These are things you can't just import from another country for a better price. That's where the real cost of living crisis is happening.
So that leaves us with this final, really important question to think about. A tariff, or getting rid of one, is a powerful economic tool. But if governments are using it to treat a symptom, like the price of a pair of jeans, instead of the actual disease, like the sky-high cost of essential services, then are they using the right tool for the job? And if not, what is?